Hello, this is Jo from Trieste Trasmissione, reporting for rvnet.eu.
Chiaramente questo era uno scherzo, non mi hanno già cacciato, non mi hanno già rubato il posto. Questa era Jo, l'ospite di questa settimana. Jo vive a Trieste, studia al MIB e oggi con lei parliamo di perché ha iniziato un blog per raccontare Trieste.
I started the blog when I came here in September from Hong Kong. Basically, my friends and family were sending me a lot of emails from all over the world, and I was finding it a bit difficult with the schoolwork to keep in touch with everybody. So I thought it would be a good idea to set up something online so that if people were interested in what I was up to, they could go online themselves and have a look. It's the first blog I've ever written, and sometimes it's difficult to find the time, but looking back on it now, it's a really nice record of all the things that I've been doing since I was here. People visit from all over the world. I have friends in many places, partly because in Hong Kong people come from all over the world, so when they go back to where they're from, they tend to keep in touch. So there's people in Australia, people in the States, people in the UK, also in Hong Kong who are reading it. But in addition to that, now the people that are also featured on the blog, so my friends and the other people that come into Trieste that I come into contact with, send the link on to their friends too. So it's a spiralling network, and of course you read it. I think that when you come here as a visitor, it's not always so easy to find out the information that you need about Trieste. In fact, maybe in Italy in general, my opinion is it's sometimes a bit difficult to find out the great places to go. So I think Trieste and the region has a lot to offer. So it's great for me to be able to explain to people a little bit about the magic of living here. Well, I've just been back to Hong Kong this last weekend, and everybody's very envious that I live in somewhere that's so beautiful. But also they say there's a lot to do. They say we go out a lot, but maybe that's just what I write about. But no, I think the city and the area are really beautiful, and that comes across to the people that read it. I noticed a difference between the people in Trieste and the people in the south, but actually now some of my closest friends on the course are from Trieste. I don't know much of the dialect, but people are very friendly. I think it's a nice way of life. It's a nice city because it has a lot to offer, but it's still accessible and friendly. It doesn't have the chaos of a big city. I think food has a lot of importance here. For me, coming from Asia, the big thing is perhaps there's less variety here in the types of cuisine. In Hong Kong, you can have a different nation of cuisine every day, and I miss that sometimes. But the freshness of the food and the importance that food plays in life is noticeable. If wherever we're going out to celebrate things together, we go for dinner or we go for lunch, and it's always an occasion. And I think that's important. I think it's great too to see all of the regional specialities. People talk about the way that they've prepared things, and for example, when the guys on the course cook pasta together, there's always a debate about who has the best way of doing it. So it's I think food and life are very much intertwined. I think the city has a huge amount of potential. As somebody who's not from here, who's come here, it's really an enjoyable place to be. I think it's also a fantastic place to have holidays. I think, for example, for tourism, there's maybe a lot more that can be done to educate people about this part of Italy. When I first looked into coming here, my friends didn't know anything about the place, nor me, to be honest. The first thing you hear about is the Bora, which we haven't really experienced so much this year. But I think from a tourism point of view, there's more that can be done to promote the city and the region. One of the things that needs to be improved is the logistics, the links with other places. I don't have a car. I'm lucky because I have friends who have cars, but it's not so easy to get around sometimes, to get to the karst region, to get into Slovenia. So I think some of those things might really help. But I think it's an exciting time for Trieste, really, because of the location with, the Eastern Europe, the location with Austria. So I think there are a lot of possibilities. From a business point of view, we've talked a bit on the course about one of the points of Italian business being that it's a lot of family-run businesses, and that perhaps family-run businesses work in a different way to other businesses. So they tend to protect their own business rather than working together. And I think that if the companies could somehow work together that by joining together the smaller companies, you have much larger power in terms of the greater market. Particularly with China and India now, competing on costs is not really an option. Somebody's always going to undercut companies in terms of costs, but the quality of what's happening here in Italy is still really high. Maybe also there's a mentality, I'm a marketeer by training, and I think that the mentality is still about selling products and not about marketing. So it's not really about creating a demand for the products or services that are being produced, but more about how people are selling the products and services that they do produce. And I think if that mindset could change, that there's perhaps a greater opportunity. I think there's a lot of pride in Trieste as a city, but I think that's a good thing. I don't know how much Trieste people travel in the world. Maybe not so much. But some of the people I talk to say it's because there are so many good things here. Why do they have to travel? I think pride is a good thing, but it's important to always be aware of what's happening in the world and what's happening on the horizon.